What is going on, Misfits? As you can probably tell from the name of this video, it's been at least 1 month. It's been at least 1 month, right? Bleeding Edge came out on the 24th of March, and it's like the 25th of April now. So in the past month of Bleeding Edge being what it is, it's gotten a few updates and a few patches and a few tweaks to the game itself. But overall, I wouldn't be able to give this game like a scale of 1 to 10, but overall, I think it's time to give it the review that it actually does need in terms of an actual player base. When it first launched on Twitch, it was like 3,000 people or maybe like 2.8 thousand or something like that, which is fairly good for the community of what Bleeding Edge is. You know, it was announced at E3 and it wasn't like a super big overhaul on like the 4v4 PvP thing, but as far as viewership goes, the amount of views on Twitch that I know for Bleeding Edge are around like 150 or so. Maybe to like 200 on like a certain streamer who does it or something like that. But the amount of people who watch it has declined drastically. Now, that's not to say that the game is actually bad, but some people like to take it a little bit further when it comes to their viewership in terms of like if the game's competitive, if you see some cool stuff happening, or if your favorite streamer is just doing some cool stuff. Overall, Bleeding Edge isn't a bad game because it has less viewership than Valorant or Spellbreak right now, whatever's going on. So yeah, the viewership doesn't necessarily matter. In terms of the game's overall play, each character, admittingly, not each character is a slight copy of the characters that you would see on Overwatch, but admittingly, it would be really dumb of me to deny the fact that, what's your name? Buttercup, as well as Roadhog, they're just about the same type of tank character. One can grab you, get over here, Scorpion style, and they also have like a move where they can burst out like a crap ton of damage and stuff like that. So there's an obvious similarity there. Obviously, Zero as well as Lucio, they're both not being black, obviously, but they're both healer style characters, as well as they both like music, and obviously they would be into gaming. There's no way you cannot see that comparison. Tracer as well as Cass, they both have good running speed, and if you do enough damage to them, they have to leave the battlefield, which is another thing to note about. Obviously, this game has some things in it where they were like, okay, I like Overwatch, but the fact is, Overwatch, you are very constricted and constrained to what it is that you're actually able to do in terms of the freedom of being able to play. If you're a tank, you can only be a tank. If you're a healer, you are only good for being a healer. You're not good at actually dishing out damage when it's necessary. So I can understand what it is that they're actually trying to do with this game. But I would say when it comes to originality, the only thing that makes the characters in this game like super original are the fact that it's in a different time period where augmentation is like a really high thing. Like, you know, like Cyberpunk or something like that. Augmentations and being able to hack into those augmentations is a very good concept that I actually do like the flow with. Alright, when I say that the characters are kind of unoriginal, what I mean by that is there are certain games that come out and it's obvious that this game is following a template or a cookie cutter from a previous game that was established. Right now we have a lot of battle royale games, and if it's not a battle royale game, it might be like a soul style game. And with this is a 4v4 PvP game where you have the same type of terminology. You have tanks, you have healers, and then you have attackers. You can't really get around that type of formula, but the thing is, gamers, we can sense and we can smell out, because we've been dealing with this for years. We can smell when it feels like a repeat of something else that we have played before. And as gamers, we're getting a little tired of the same cookie cutter template that devs are trying to follow. Not saying that they are following 100% of someone else's idea, because, you know, cell shading games, that's been a while, because there's games like Beautiful Joe and stuff like that from back then. That's not what I'm saying in terms of design. There was an idea that someone else did, and you think, okay, how can I improve on this idea? Well, Overwatch Dead Serious doesn't have anything other than the basic abilities. Every character in there should be able to swing a sword or something, or swing a hammer, or shoot something at a distance. You shouldn't just be constricted. And again, like I said, I like that about Bleeding Edge. But there's something about it where you can see it's somewhat unoriginal in a way. That's just that. Skins. When it comes to skins in this game, admittingly, to quote a friend, the skins in this game are very underwhelming. They're very underwhelming. Now, granted, I know that they're going to be doing a big update where they give at least every single character a new skin. I'm totally fine with that. And honestly, this game isn't about the skins or anything. Granted, everything about this game looks cool. It's cel shading, and you have these different style characters that look really unique. I really like Kulov. I love his design, as well as Giz. It's sick. In terms of skins, though, the Punk pack that was announced for the 3 characters, it's not a bad pack. It's not necessarily bad, but when it comes to the skins that the characters have themselves, having color palettes, I wouldn't want to have a different color palette on my character. It's kind of like, it's only because the fact that I know that the creative design for this team, the vision for this team, the way they made these characters as original as they are in terms of their design, I know for a fact that they actually want to do some really, really sick character designs. And I know that they don't want to do just color palettes. So for anyone watching this, color palettes are okay. They're okay as long as I can still identify the character when he's coming up to me. Like Gizmo and Maeve shouldn't look kind of similar, and they don't, obviously. So there's that. As far as skins go, not necessarily a needed thing, but it would be really nice if we had a little bit of some different style on the skins a little bit. In terms of character gameplay, I would say that overall, the game does exactly what it was supposed to do. It's a 4v4 PvP, but with the mixture of melee. And there's nothing wrong about that actually. That's the reason why I play this game so much. Not to say that this game is trying to compete with Overwatch, or that this game is trying to compete with Smite, because technically speaking, it's not. It's a totally different take on the whole 4v4 PvP thing. So, in terms of the actual balancing that needs to happen, they've done a good job with balancing so far. They've actually been very straightforward with the community when they have patch notes. Rather than me having to go online and look for the patch notes with so many other games, they actually have the patch notes in the game so that you can see what it is that they actually did over time, which is actually good. A lot of developers should actually do that, especially for people who make fighting games. It's really annoying when I had to go to an external site to look at the frame data for fighting games, but I'm not gonna get into that. So as far as balancing, I still feel that, however, they have a lot of work to do to balance out this game, to make everything feel like, you know, if something bad happens, it's a deserving thing. You know, you kind of went in versus 4 people, and you're gonna get wrecked. There's no way around that. In terms of certain characters being able to 1v1 each other, granted, you're not supposed to 1v1 in this game. This is a team-based game. But when you're good with your character, you know for a fact there are certain characters that you can actually go 1v1 up against. But then there are certain times when another character interferes with that fight, and then all of a sudden you're only losing that fight just because someone else joined in. Like someone who has an OP ability that buffs this character, and next thing you know, you're not able to win that fight anymore. Now granted, you should stick with your team, but what I'm trying to say is this game needs something still as far as balancing. There are times when there are people who are tank characters and they die way too quick. There are times when there are healer characters and they're off the battlefield way too quick and stuff like that. So overall, I would say this game still needs something in terms of balancing. Honestly, I could go through every single character. Actually, I will go through every single character and I will give you my opinion on each one and where I feel like they need to be balanced, because there's a lot of balancing that still needs to be done. Okay, so in terms of what I would say are the negatives in this game, it doesn't have a lot of negatives, but certain negatives make it almost close to being not necessarily unplayable, but in a way unenjoyable. So I want to say my first negative with this game is that it kind of sort of, because of the fact that there are still some balancing that I feel really needs to be done, it kind of sort of feels like it's still in beta. Kind of sort of. And the reason why I say that is because when the game was about to launch, the game was launched with Cass. And I was like, I didn't play Cass at first, but I really like Cass. And from what I understand, the other character that's going to be in, I think his name is Meko. Don't quote me on that. He's a tank character. That character was also supposed to be there at launch. In terms of me saying that the game feels like a beta, other than the balancing, it doesn't seem like there is a full set roster here for the characters. Like the number of attack characters versus tank versus support, it doesn't really add up. Not saying that the game is bad because it doesn't have that, but there's something about the number of characters and the way that these characters are balanced to where I feel like this is still kind of sort of in beta. And granted, I guess you could say it is. Everything is a work in progress, obviously, with it's the first month launch of the game. And it's still one of my favorite games, hands down. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of the game feeling like a beta, and to quote someone else in the random comment section of a video that I was watching somewhere, does every character have to heal? And honestly, I would answer yes. There are characters that need to heal. When you're getting hit like 3v1 because you accidentally strayed from your team, and let's say you're on power cell and you're carrying like 9 cells or something, and someone hits you from a distance and they stun you and you manage to get away, and you're struggling with like 20 health or something, and your healer just died or your healer isn't good, and you don't know where the health spawns are. Certain mods in the game, yes, give you the ability to get some health back, or if you do a certain thing, you get some health back and you can regenerate. Certain characters, yes, I would admit, while they can't be like a healer, certain characters deserve to get some health regeneration back. I can actually say that. If you're Damon or Cass, I can actually say that there are times when you do deserve to get some healing back, because you kind of thrive on clinging to the healer, especially if he's 0. So, I heard that this game was going to get a ranked mode. And if there's a dev watching this or anyone who is a fan of this game, I understand you would want ranked mode, but actually I'm lying. I don't understand why you would want ranked mode. I'm very, very serious about this. This is my biggest thing about this game so far. In terms of ranked mode, other than the fact that there are people who have not mastered their character yet, other than the fact that there are people who are advanced users on their character, in terms of ranked mode, because of the fact that I, again, feel like this game is still needing balancing and that this game still feels like some sort of a beta, how about we balance the characters out? How about we get more characters to the roster? How about we add more things to the game to make it more user-friendly? That way, it isn't such a frustrating anxiety trip. The term ranked anxiety is a really real thing. And as someone who used to kind of sort of play Overwatch, I don't feel like going through that same ranked anxiety. I would rather play the game and hey, if my healer isn't doing a good job, I would rather have fun knowing that we're still going to get a couple scores, we're going to get some kills in. I don't want to get mad at the other person because I'm focusing so much on my rank going up, which was the problem in Overwatch. Blaming other people and not having, not taking, it's another word for responsibility, or I forget what the word is exactly. Forgive me, I'm a little tired. But basically, I don't want to blame my teammate if they're not doing good. I don't want a teammate blaming me if they feel like I'm not doing good because I didn't heal them in time or something like that, or we didn't group up, or everyone's not on the objective. I don't feel like getting the hate mail or people typing in chat, heal me, you effing suck, and stuff like that. Ranked mode gets very, very nasty when it comes to the gaming community. And I can understand why people want ranked mode, because you want to differentiate yourself from, the other gamins who aren't as good as you. I can totally understand that. But there are going to be times when you just have to deal with the fact that your team isn't good. And there are going to be times when you have to deal with the fact that someone's going to get mad and someone on your team, they're going to leave. They don't care about the leaver penalty. They don't care about that. And now you have 3v4, and automatically I know for a fact that we're going to lose this game and my rank is going to go down. Ranked anxiety is a real thing. And honestly, it's games like, I don't want to brag on other games or whatever, but it's games like Overwatch and League of Legends where you have that type of nastiness towards players and they're emailing each other back and forth. Hey, you didn't do good. Well, hey, you didn't heal good. Or hey, you didn't spot me good. And you're saying nasty stuff to players because you care about a rank. All of a sudden, that rank is more important than another person's feelings. That's my whole thing on the rank thing. I think we should balance the game and we should get a good amount of established characters first before we start adding ranked to the game. Maybe we can still keep casuals and then maybe we can have ranked. But I'm telling you now, ranked anxiety is something that I just don't want to deal with. Just a little thought. So I would say my only gripe about this game is that because you have a mixture of characters that can do damage as well as heal themselves, it gets a little crazy to understand it gets a little crazy trying to understand where the characters' roles are. And being serious, if I were to do this, you know what? How about this? I'm going to go character to character and I'm going to give you my problems with them as to why I don't understand what it is that they're trying to go for in terms of giving the character a lot of damage output, but I can also cast a huge buff on myself. I'll show you. Going from top to bottom in terms of each character. Starting off with Damon. Damon, during the beta, was a problem. I don't know how. I'm glad they fixed it now, but Damon was really annoying during the beta. Damon could disappear and he could hit you, and I swear in like less than 5 seconds he would be gone again. It was crazy. At least maybe that's how it felt during the beta, but Damon so far in this game, well, based on his design alone, I love his design. Dude, he is everything in a character. If I were ever to cosplay as something, it would probably be Damon. With dreads, keep in mind. The reason why is because, as you can see, I really like Japanese sword stuff, and graffiti is also a really good passion of mine. This character is everything that I would put into one character if I was to make an OC and just go cosplay as something. This would be the guy, hands down. But overall, in terms of his gameplay, I'd say he's fairly balanced. He doesn't have anything that's too overpowered. His Shadow Strike does a decent amount of damage. He can turn invisible forever, but obviously there's a downside because you can't stay invisible forever unless you're trying to stay on objectives, which is impossible because you're eventually going to get hit. So, Damon, I don't have a problem with this game. He's totally fine. Gizmo! I don't play... Well, you can tell, obviously, I don't play with Gizmo. But Gizmo, so far... Obviously, she's like Diva, but, a little bit more different in terms of how her character is done. She makes her own stuff. She looks like she makes her own equipment. Everything is hers. And she's not like a gamer, so there's that. Her special is kind of similar to Diva's because she kind of flies in on her rocket. She can fly in on a rocket and... What is it? Oh yeah, and the giant mech. Yeah, she can do a giant mech and she can fly on a giant rocket that takes a ton of damage. She kind of has the whole diva thing going on. Nothing wrong with that. As far as her abilities, Diva has so far never been a problem against me. Like, I can go up against Diva and I won't get too afraid of losing to her 1v1. When Diva's at a distance and you can't tell that she's shooting you, oh my god, it is so annoying. But again, she's not overpowered. I never feel overpowered even when her mini mech comes in. With confidence, I know that if I just get a good enough distance and I put a good enough shield on, if I keep my distance and I hit her from a distance, I can eventually break that armor down and she can die. If you team up on Gizmo, you can take her out if she's in her mini mech. I have no problem with Gizmo at all. Oh, I didn't talk about her character design. Sorry. Her character design, I like it. I really do like it. It's very original. It's very unique. Like I said, she's a character with augmentations, and that's what this game kind of thrives on. The whole augmented body look really goes good with this game, hands down. So, speaking of augmented body, I'm not sure where this guy's ribcage went, or his lower intestine, or his neck for that point. But Nid has so far been... Nid is always a fun character. I don't play with him a lot, obviously, as you can see, because he's level 3, but when I do play with him, I just want to come in and smack a few people around with my guitar. You know, then I hit him with the, power slide. Hit him with the power slide to get that extra damage in. Fire breath usually chips their damage away, like a lot. I've seen some very serious chip damage with this character. As far as his supers go, Ride the Lightning is... Who doesn't choose Ride the Lightning? Who doesn't choose that? It's one of the best supers in the game. It stuns you, it does damage, and it leaves you open for other teammates to possibly just gang up on you and do extra damage. It's the biggest go-to in the game, which is why it confuses me that his other special would be a growl that only silences you for a few seconds. Granted, when it happens, it's scary, because you can quite literally do nothing. When it happens, it's scary. But the thing about this game is you have to learn how to evade and get away from those situations when it's going bad. The biggest thing about this game is when you have the time, you activate your power board, or whatever it's called, hoverboard, sorry. You activate your hoverboard and you leave the battle. And then you come back in when you're well established and you've got your abilities back. So far, Death Growl has only been used like 5 times against me. And I mean, I can count on my hand less than 5 times when I've noticed Death Growl. But more than likely, Ride the Lightning, it's always going to be a go-to attack. Like I said, Nid, I don't have a problem with him. If you try, you can take him out easy, no problems. Okay, so Maeve. As a cool-off player, I can tell you without a fact that I have confidence in killing every single Maeve player, at least at first. When this game first came out, with confidence, I can say that if Maeve ever came against me, she would put her cage down, and my first instinct is throw down my field, and I can boon her, and I can hit her from a distance, and I can get that extra damage in. No problem with that at all. But if Mage is going to be a damage character, and she has the ability to vanish, why is she able to siphon life, which is a backup plan in case you start getting hit too much, and she's able to disappear? There's something about Maeve where literally for the past week or so, when I go up against Maeve, I'm no longer able to do that damage that I was able to do. And granted, I know Kulov is a healer. I know. He's kind of sort of a healer. Kind of sort of. Which is the point that I'm getting to about with this whole thing feeling like it's still kind of in beta. The fact that she can siphon life, maybe she has a mod for it that does like a ton of more damage. And Lord help you if someone else is also shooting you from a distance like Gizmo. If Gizmo is shooting you from a distance, you're trapped in a cage and she's sucking the life out of you. And then when she's done sucking the life out of you, She can hit you with a ranged attack from a distance and then disappear real quick. And I get that she is a damage character, but that siphon life thing, lately, it has been a problem. And like I said before, characters really do need to be able to heal. Sometimes your character really needs to heal, because if you don't have a good healer, then you're basically screwed. But that's what I mean. There has to be some type of balance in the healing department of the game, because like I said, maybe I said it before, you have 5 damage characters. Next up, there's gonna be 4 tank characters, and the supporting section of the game is just, you only have 3 supporting characters. Okay, so getting away from Maeve, let's talk about Cass. Now, Cass, like I've said before, it took me a while to think about it, but Cass is similar to Tracer, and she's one of those characters that can't necessarily heal herself because she is appropriately in the right section of the game as far as damage section. She does damage at a good range, and if she gets up close, her talons do a crap ton of damage. Her special blade dance does a lot as well. So Cass has the ability to swoop and do a rake, which is a 5-hit combo, and she can leap backwards. The leap backwards thing is kind of a redundant thing. I never really use it because it feels like it doesn't get me out of situations enough. Compared to Dive Bomb. Dive Bomb, if I'm getting messed up, I can use that and just completely leave the area. It's a little broken because it doesn't make sense. You can use Dive Bomb in a closed location and she can just disappear. It kind of doesn't make sense, but she needs that type of stuff. Why? Because she's not capable of generating health. Similar to Tracer on Overwatch, if she gets hit, Tracer has to leave and go run around for health, or she has to depend on a healer being next to her. And with that being said, Cass, she seems fairly balanced. She's not over the top. She's not, why do I keep going back to Workshop? She's not over the top too powerful. She's not causing more damage than she's supposed to. She doesn't feel cheap, you know? She doesn't feel cheap in my mind. So there's Cass. Now, getting on to the support section. The support section in this game, I feel like needs a lot of work done. A lot. Point blank, there are 3 support characters, 2 of which do not feel like they are actually support characters. And I literally mean that. Miko and Kulov, they don't seem like support characters. I mean, I know they're in that section, and yeah, they do heal you. They do have that certain, supportive edge, but Miko, let me tell you about Miko. I played with Miko a lot during the beta, and even then I didn't like her. Granted, she has the ability to, her automatic, augment staff, fend enemies off with the flowing staff combos, and her combos are like kind of infinite or whatever. It feels like they were trying to say, okay, we need a melee character who can also heal. We need someone kind of sort of like Damon, but can also be a healer. And with that being said, the fact that she can freeze people is a good thing. That's the most frightening thing about Miko. Other than that, there's not much here, and this is why I say it really weirds me out with the choices on the character's abilities. Miko is not she's not a good character, but she's not a bad character. And I know that sounds weird, trust me. I'm not afraid to fight Miko even as Kulov. I have no melee attack, but even as Kulov, if she freezes me and starts beating the crap out of me, I'm never really afraid of her. For some reason, because I have my other teammates or whatever. But even when I play as her, she doesn't seem like her combos do enough damage. Her freeze stasis is the one thing that actually does help out. Her chain heal, it heals an ally, but that heal isn't enough. It feels like she should be able to constantly heal someone Like, just like that, instantly. To be honest, compared to Maeve, you would think a character like this would have Siphon Seal. Like, she would be able to steal the life from other players and then give it to other players. You would think something like that would happen because she's kind of got the Witch Doctor voodoo vibe going with her. But it just isn't like that. Her kinetic shield, like I said, as a cool-off player, if you throw down a kinetic shield, I place my... I forget what it's called, but I basically place my healing circle inside of the shield, and next thing you know, they leave outside of the shield because it's not a good place to be. And yes, it does stop my projectiles from coming through, but both the shield should heal allies, not with a mod. It should be by default. The shield should heal allies by default. It only blocks projectiles and beams, but I really feel that the shield should heal. The fact that it blocks projectiles is a very... I feel like they're making odd choices here because Zero puts up a wall, but it doesn't block projectiles. It's so weird. It's just a weird choice to me. So yeah, as far as Miko, she's not my character that I'm going to be using, but I feel like they were trying to do a melee character that can also heal, but there's just something lacking about this character in general. Okay, now, I forgot about supers. Life Force, yes, okay. Life Force is a good special, but it shouldn't be her super for her to be able to do that. Like, it feels like Life Force comes in, it lasts for a few seconds, you can give it to different teammates, and then once it's gone, that Life Force doesn't even matter if you're doing the right damage to the right character. When she's using Life Force, obviously she becomes the main target, because then I'm like, okay, there's a healer on the team, we need to get rid of her. But when Miko's there, I don't treat her like, okay, there's a healer on the team, we need to get rid of her. I treat it like, Miko's on the team, is there anyone else that I should worry about that she's trying to partner up with, like Buttercup or El Bastardo? And I'll keep my eye on that. But Miko, I'm never afraid of her. I'm never like, oh crap, Miko's in the game. This guy's a good Miko, high level. This is about to change the game and make things very frustrating. It never works like that. And I'm sorry for that because I like her character design. I really like her character design. I'm not just saying that, okay? I actually do like her character design. Like I said, I'm curious because she said the same thing to Damon. I'm curious to see what is actually under the mask. I actually am. But moving on to my favorite character, obviously, as you can see from the level 19. Kulov is, I'm sorry, he's the best character in this game. In terms of how he was made, in terms of his creativity, in terms of what he can do, he is the most well-rounded character in the game. As you know from me smiling, I really love this character. Kulov, like I said before, however, he's a healer, but he sometimes doesn't feel like a healer. And the reason why is because of his abilities slash the mods that he can be able to do. So, for slight example, I have every single mod here, but as far as the classes that I have, Kulov is so far very, very good on doing damage to multiple people. I don't use Kulov as a healer, and maybe that's my fault, maybe that's my problem, but I never use Kulov as a healer. Well, granted, I do. I give my teammates shields and I throw down a healing circle when I know it's right, especially when someone actually does need healing. But for the most part, when I throw Sacred Ground, that's Power Spike, okay. So, when I throw Sacred Ground down, it heals my allies, but it doesn't feel like it's enough for them to, you know, get a good heal off of. And I know that there are different classes that I can be doing. There are different mods that I can be using for Sacred Ground. Increase the radius, increase the healing, increase its actual duration by 3 seconds. I know all that, as well as increase the totem health itself by 50. Because the totem health actually does matter. It does. The thing about Kulov is that I use him as a damage dealer so much it's not even funny. I don't use Boone as much. I do use Boone on tank characters. If I use Boone on a character like Damon, it has to be right then and there because he's in the middle of attacking somebody. If I use Boone on someone like Gizmo, if she's not in her suit, it's kind of a waste because she needs to be able to deal that damage up close as well as have an entire team around you. So this class I have Boone's A. Increase Boone targets damage by an extra 20. Allies near the Boone target deal 10 extra damage. So far, everything that I do with Kulov is about dealing damage. When your curse damage does 10% actual damage, you can make a tank character's life go by like that. But respectfully. You know, it just feels like it's more respectful because he's at a distance and he's a fairly weak character. I'm supposed to be supporting my characters in that way. So that's why it feels right. I don't know. There's just something about when you need to heal or the healing section of this game that just feels a little off to me. The reason why I say that is because of this guy, Zero. Zero is by far an actual healer in the game. Every single time Zero is on the playing field, he's my number one target because he can change the fate of a game or a certain fight just like that. Just like that. Zero, when he's paired up with El Bastardo, is scary. When he comes in, if I'm in the middle of dropping El Bastardo's life at a distance using all of my abilities, and then Zero comes in and El Bastardo's life just jumps right back up, that is a clear indicator that you need to take out Zero before you take out El Bastardo. And that's what I'm saying. Zero is the only actual healer to the game because he's the only one that I feel threatened by. When he comes into the game, I have to get him out because otherwise I can't do damage against anybody if he's there. He's like number one priority. And like I said before, the fact that he, of all people, can put up a wall but projectiles can still pass through, but Miko puts up a wall and yet projectiles can't pass through, and there's still no healing going on. I'm very serious about this when I say this about this game. I love this game, but so far the only thing I've been saying is that the healing part of this game, the support section of this game, there's only 3 support characters. It's not enough. I only have the option of 3 support characters, and 2 of those characters are only when I want to kind of sort of have some fun in a way. I mean, granted, if I play Kulov, I'm playing to win. But if I play with Miku, it's because I'm trying to learn her character. If I ever switch to Zero, it's because Kulov isn't healing enough, and I need to use Zero's ability to heal because his healing is far by better than anyone else's in the game. So therefore, he's an actual healer. But Kulov and Miko, as much as I love Kulov, they don't seem like healers. And that's been my only gripe about this game. It's just the support section. Now, moving on. We have El Bastardo. Hopefully I said that right. Maybe. El Bastardo, in terms of, first off, character design. He's been through some stuff. Obviously, El Bastardo is supposed to be... Like, he's not supposed to be Danny Trejo, but, you know, I get the Danny Trejo vibe from this guy. He's a rough guy, he's had a rough past, and he's done some stuff, and he's ready to just F stuff up. I'm not sure what happened to him exactly, but El Bastardo's character design, I can't think of where they got the idea from in terms of, like, you know, doing a cookie cutter from another character and making this character. I don't know where the inspiration would have possibly came from. He seems like 100% of an original style character in terms of his design. So there's that. Like I was saying, in terms of El Bastardo and his abilities in general, El Bastardo can do the Leap of Faith, which is very good when you're trying to get someone at distance. Death Spiral is a good move. It does a lot of distance. And Empower. it makes... He seems balanced. I'm not even sure if I can... Anytime I choose El Bastardo, I never have to worry about not getting enough health or not doing enough damage or whatever, or being in serious trouble. Because he has Overload as well as Unbreakable, which are really good specials that suit him for a tank character. So I'd say overall, El Bastardo, I have no problems with. I loved him in the beta, and I still, even though I don't play with him as much, only when I feel like I need to, El Bastardo, balanced. I have nothing wrong with him. Buttercup! Now, this character's design. Is the way that I would expect it. I mean, okay, a big boned country woman who has razor blades on her arm and is somehow attached to a giant wheel like Axel from Twisted Metal for some reason. Overall, this is a weird looking character design. I'm not gonna lie. This is the weirdest character design I've ever seen in my life. But it's badass. In terms of putting it in a game, it's so badass because it makes sense. Putting this in a game, it makes sense. She's like... She reminds me of a boss character in Borderlands or something. She really does. She reminds me of a boss character that would be in Borderlands 3. That's why I like this character's design. I don't have any type of problem with Buttercup. I would say that honestly, sometimes she doesn't... For a tank, she doesn't seem like she has enough health. I'm not sure what her max health is, because I don't support her very much, but overall, she seems balanced and never Buttercup's in. Don't go... When she yanks me, it's like, oh crap, I'm in so much trouble right now. If she yanks me and Maeve puts me in a cage, I'm in dead serious trouble. And I have no problem with that because she only has that one ability that's like problematic. But she is a tank. And she's supposed to have that much high health and being able to do something a little gimmicky. She's supposed to have a certain gimmick to her. So as far as her, I have no problem with her. I do have a problem with the fact that her belt buckle kind of sort of looks like the bunny on D.Va's logo from Overwatch. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't try me. Last but not least, we have Makatu. Now, I don't play as the surfer dude as much as I know I probably should, but first things first, I love Makatu all around. I like his voice actor. I love his voice actor. He's a big guy, but he has like a slightly soft voice or whatever. That's kind of how it is in real life, so this works. In terms of his actual character design, I'm curious to know what type of future is Bleeding Edge in. Like, why is everyone's entire body able to be dismantled like RoboCop? I'm not sure why, but that orb in the center of his body and the way that he fights and swings and animates and stuff like that, I really like I really love his attack animation. I don't like it, I love it. His attack animations are smooth and fluid, and I can tell he wasn't just made to... He wasn't made to copy... What's that guy? Is Doomfist on Overwatch or something? He wasn't made to be that guy, and I can obviously see it. In terms of his abilities, he is a fairly well-rounded character. I will admit, granted, like I said before, it's weird when you have characters that can heal, because when he goes to heal, it's only like a minor heal. It only feels minor to me. That's just the way I put it. The repellent pushes away enemies, but unless you're really, really good at doing it at certain times, it can be almost useless. Obviously, if you play Overwatch, you know that you can push enemies off of ledges and stuff, or you can push them into the electric field. That type of stuff works. Or when someone's kind of beating the crap out of you and you need to get away, you can repel, you can barge away, or you can use Katatamori, and you can roll your way out of there. In terms of his special moves, can't touch us. I'm not sure if there is, but I'm hoping I'm really hoping that there is a way that you can... Okay, increase Cantus's duration by 2 seconds. In this game, I'm not sure what the whole small increment 2 seconds thing is. 2 seconds in Bleeding Edge is that. Not even that. 2 seconds in Bleeding Edge is nothing. Trust me. When you're waiting, if you're playing as Damon and you're waiting for your invisibility to come back, those 18 seconds that you gotta wait, that's a long time. But 2 seconds on his special ability that makes everyone invulnerable, I get they don't want to make that like super overpowered, because what if you have El Bastardo on your team and he's already unbreakable? Now he's super unbreakable, right? But I don't know. Anytime I've used it, it only like frightens the other. It only frightens the other team. It's like we can't attack. I can't do any melee damage. I might as well kind of separate a little bit and regroup back when those seconds are up. But the amount of time for when that special happens, it doesn't seem like it's even a long time for that. Like, it should be... I just feel like that special that he has should be a little bit longer. That's just me and my gripe, but, you know. Okay, so, I haven't been able to play with... Obviously, I haven't been able to play with the tank character. He's a dolphin. I've seen his abilities... and I've seen what he can be able to do. He can take enemies that are in... He can take allies out of danger and bring them to safety. Cool. He has a few other things. And I think he can also heal. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he couldn't. But I'll be honest with you. This game needs support characters. It needs support characters. Zero cannot be the only go-to main support character. I shouldn't be like, alright, I gotta switch to Zero because he has that one ability to just heal you constantly. And then, oh my god, it has no cooldown? I didn't even know that. This guy's a healer. Which is why I say, if we're gonna do something to this game as I try to go back to the main screen, Zero is the only actual healer on this game. He's the only actual threat. Miko, like I said before, the fact that she has an infinite combo that she can do is really nice. The fact that she freezes people is really nice. But that's it. Oh, and she can make allies disappear. Kind of like Damon. Which is why I said before, it feels like for Miko, they were trying to make a character that's like Damon, but can also heal. And I think what needs to happen is, like I've been saying for the entirety of this video, there needs to be something done in the support section of this game. Like, characters are able to do certain things that just kind of sort of doesn't make sense at time. And so far, that main character has been Maeve. Maeve's ability to siphon life is so strong. I honestly feel like she doesn't need it. She can have any other ability. To be honest, the way her character design is, you would think that she would have the bamboozle ability. You would think that. And you would think that Kulov is able to siphon life from somebody, and vice versa. But for some reason, if she is able to, one, disappear, and she can siphon life from you, and she can trap you in position, so you can be in the middle of, let's say, Nid's flame that he puts out. You can be in the middle of that. She can cage you, siphon your life, and then if you're still alive for some reason, she can zap you at a distance with her freaking basic attack. I didn't have a problem with Maeve all through the entire game, but for some reason, Siphon Life is getting way too strong and way too far out of hand. So, Bleeding Edge in a whole summary. And again, to quote someone else who I believe they were on the Microsoft page, to quote someone else that was saying this, it's not like a super bad game, and it's not like a super good game. Bleeding Edge overall is like in between. It literally says in the title of the game, team up, have fun, cause chaos. I don't think it's in that order, but you know what I mean. It's not a game that's supposed to be competing with Overwatch or competing with Smite. It is just supposed to be a game that you jump in and have fun with. But however, I'm not sure about everyone else's review here. So far, I wouldn't give this game anything less than 3 stars. Me personally. However, a lot of people have a main issue with this game just having simple balancing issues, like right here. Game has potential, however, this game is full of bugs. Gameplay is pretty slow and also needs some balancing issues. When someone puts a paragraph of information into it, I can tell that they really care about the game, and they're probably not trying to actually bash on the game like that. So, this person says, at its core, the game is relatively fun for what it is. However, it is a mess. While this game did not launch in a broken state, it is mechanically broken. Melee combos are basic with little to no gap between the skill floor and skill ceiling. I would say he's kind of sort of wrong about that. When you're meleeing and you know how to melee and cancel into a special move and then continue meleeing somebody, like Elvistardo and Damon, it gets really, really fun. You can do mix-ups in this game. So don't give me that. Especially if you're also Makatu. Makatu, he can uppercut you with a Shoryuken and then he can hit you with a freaking whatever that kick is off a Street Fighter and he knocks you off the... Oh my god, it's so good. But in a way, this guy is right to an extent. Now, he continued to say that the range characters feel weird in this game that's supposed to be melee focused. Character designs are kind of bland despite how colorful they seem. I disagree again. There is little to no way to recover or come back from a disastrous losing position. So you are highly unlikely to win or get close to winning if you fall behind at all. I will agree with that sentence. There are certain times when it's like based off the combination of who's on the other team. Like I said, if you got Zero with an advanced Damon, with a good Buttercup and an Elvistardo that knows how to play well, or a Maeve, when you're trying to capture the objective, it gets really, really frustrating when that team is so good and you don't have a team that can play very, very well. When it gets to a certain point where the team is so far ahead that all they have to do is just focus on killing the team to get extra points, it gets a little bit redundant. The only time I have made quick, serious comebacks, which I've actually posted in videos, is on games like Power Cell. If you focus really, really well and if you can stop people from hoarding power cells, if you have like 15 power cells and you know how to just hold that 15 and avoid fighting people and you can actually deliver those power cells, you can make a comeback on Power Cell. I've done it several times. But for the other game mode, it's a little hard to do, so I'll give this guy that. He's actually kind of right about that. So, the team-focused gameplay was nice, though, but when you realize that the way the game works means you can't die, otherwise you're basically losing to the next 2 team fights, because while you wait for your respawn timer, your team is losing so bad because of the fact that a single person not being in a team fight is disastrous. When I lose by myself, if for some reason I lose by myself, I feel really, really bad because the rest of my team is alive and all 4 members of the other team are alive, which means that I have to wait to get back in there. And granted, there is a hoverboard for me to get there quickly, but when I lose and then all of a sudden as I'm coming back in, I can see my teammates' health just decrease. I can see my tank character just dropping because he's getting 4v1'd. I can see my freaking other Zero character that I was focused on, he's dead too. And then it literally gets to a point where I have to wait at the spawn. And granted, you're supposed to actually observe and identify when to group up. If all 3 of your teammates are dead, you don't just run out and try to go attack people. You wait at the spawn and you wait to regroup with your team. But while you're waiting to regroup with your team, there's still like 50 seconds on the clock and they still have the objective. And more than likely, they're going to keep that objective for a while unless your entire team gets together and focuses. But by the time you have that, the team is so far ahead that they only have to focus on just getting elimination kills to get the rest of the score. Sorry, to get the rest of the score. As you can see, I'm really serious about this game. And I don't get serious about a lot of games because as a gamer, over the years, I've been feeling really, I want to say gypped, or just, you know, the repetitive nonsense, the repetitive cookie cutting style of games is getting very repetitive. But to end what this guy was saying, oh wait, this disaster is being able to score base, yeah. So these reviews are not necessarily wrong, but they're technically right. In a way, this game has some type of balancing that still needs to be done. Between my own personal opinion, there needs to be an understanding of support characters, as well as who is going to be a damage character. You can't be doing damage and also just healing yourself like that. That's insane. But overall, I would say this is a good executed idea. When I say that this game isn't good and it isn't bad, I really mean that. It's just in between, like a little bit better than good. Or I can enjoy myself on this game rather than a game like Overwatch, because people on Overwatch, like I said, are very competitive now. That's just the nature of Overwatch. But for this game in general, I only play this game to jump in, have fun, cause some chaos, and of course bamboozle people, because that's my favorite thing. Is it a 3.4 out of 5? So far, I'd say yes. It's not, I wouldn't give it anything less than a 3. And the only reason why is because, like I said, devs, if you're watching this, we need a little bit more balancing. We need that drawing board that you guys started with in terms of how every character has their abilities and what should do what and how you're trying to balance stuff. Please go back to the drawing board and actually just think over a few things, because like I said, there are certain times when characters have mods that do a large percentage of damage, and then there are certain characters that have mods that do certain things where a certain amount of time is increased, but it becomes either super redundant or an overpowered thing. That's just my take. This game needs a little bit more balancing. That's it. I'm officially done. I don't have anything else to say. I still love this game, and I'm gonna play it all throughout the year, no matter what. Anyway, guys, as I said before, it doesn't really matter, but my name is Chaos the Gamer. And if you didn't know, I like to play video games so that you don't have to. And trust me, when it comes to this game, you don't have to play it. You can go play Smite or Overwatch if you want to. You can play all those other games that are definitely copies of Overwatch. Or you can just enjoy yourself and just have some fun. That choice is totally yours. Later.